think we're looking good. Lights are all on.
How's my mic? Check, check. How those levels look?
They look pretty good.
Okay.
Big Bob, we're all good? You ready?
I'm ready to go.
All right. Yo, can you just grab that lens cap off of there real quick?
Yeah, I got you. Hold on, dude. This isn't a lens cap. That's our new air filter. We're doing performance mods today. We've got our performance mods to do, our air filter and up-jet that carb. We've got our torque converter to rebuild with heavier springs and lighter rollers. We've got the light bar to test, and what else is there?
The foam for the roll cage.
All right, so before we get into the go fast parts, let's talk about some of the stuff that we already did. First and foremost, maybe the most obvious thing, we went ahead and added a bunch of lights to the shop. Are you happy, Trey? You got better light now?
I'm very happy. Really happy. You did good. You did good today.
Yeah, quite a few mounted around in the places we always like to have them. Honestly, I gotta give some credit. Big Bob, for my entire life, has been a fanatic, if you will, of good lighting.
It's true.
So, we're in much better shape now, and that should help us out going forwards. I went ahead and we got our whole little trail computer hooked up. That's gonna be good to go now. In order to do that, I had to also drop the axle off this thing entirely because I needed to get to the brake disc back here. You can see this little bolt that's going through there. That's actually got a magnet on it, and every time it passes this sensor here, it registers 1 RPM of the wheels. You put in your wheel circumference, and it calculates our speed that way. So that's kind of what we have to test out today, make sure it's operating right, and I can make some adjustments. While I was at it, we were dropping the axle, so I put in a brake drum on this side. We've got our disc for our actual braking, and then we've got a brake drum over here, which we're eventually gonna have hooked up to an emergency brake, which we mounted up front.
Oh, here, Trey. Right here's our new.
It's not fully bolted in, but you get the idea. That's gonna be great. Parking on a hill or something like that, this thing doesn't roll away on us. And then the last thing that I did that's worth mentioning is we're actually still running the governor in this 420. I know some of you probably don't like the sound of that, but I've got solid reasons. Because this is an off-road cart, having the governor in there is kind of nice because as we hit hills or we're trying to crawl along, it's gonna help us keep in that high torque RPM range. We're not really going for top end speed on these as much as, you know, really good all-terrain performance. What ended up happening is, after episode 5, torque converter blew up on us again. I limped this thing home. Full throttle all the way, and the thing was doing about half of our normal top speed. What was really happening is the torque converter was not opening up all the way. Thus, I had to put more RPMs into it to keep us going at a reasonable speed. And so the torque converter was fighting the governor springs all the way home for like 2 miles. And I ended up stretching out those governor springs. So we got the thing back home, and it would immediately stall every time you try to get on the gas. Right here, this is the main one you gotta watch out for. If that gets stretched out, the governor's not able to do its job correctly. You gotta keep an eye on that. So always good idea, if you're gonna run your governor, still have a couple of these extra in your kit when you go out there and off-road, because it's no fun to get stuck without it. Other than that, man, I think first things first, let's tackle this air box. I don't know about you, Big Bob, but I'm sick of looking at this thing. The rest of this cart looks so cool. Trey's B-roll shows that quite nicely, but this has got to go. So let's pop this thing off and gussy this thing up a little bit and make some power in the meantime. Let's do it. Actually, I'm gonna need a knife to have one. Perfect. Sir. There we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna miss this. Okay, so 10 millimeter up top here. Pop that bad boy out. 2 more 10 mils. All right, now you gotta be kind of careful because this box is actually what's holding the choke and fuel levers on. You can see it's gonna wanna come off, so we gotta be careful here. Or we just don't be careful and put it back together after the fact, we'll see. Careful wins.
To the graveyard.
To the graveyard. We're here for performance, not to save the earth. I didn't even look at this yet. It's matte black. And that's gonna give something for our air filter to actually grab onto. This right here is the hold down for the actual choke lever. So that's gotta go right up on top. We're gonna say 3mm. Damn you, I just stripped that out. Maybe this is just the wrong size. Can you cut that to make it look like I had the right size the first time?
No.
Shit. Air filter. Moment of truth. Oh, that looks awesome. So since we're gonna be flowing more air now, we're also gonna need to throw in some new jets for the carburetor. So we'll drop that bowl down and get these replaced. Another 10mm down here. Ooh, can you grab me like a solo cup or something? Whoa.
Is that thing blowing up?
Yeah, it just ate through the solo cup.
Ah, shit. Yeah.
So quick PSA, don't use a solo cup. Apparently that is not fuel safe. Sorry, environment. Yo, what are you doing?
We're out of Red Bull.
So these new jets are gonna allow us to push more fuel through to compensate for having more air coming in at the intake. Kind of bottlenecked by the exhaust at this point, but to rebuild a whole new exhaust sort of manifold for this thing is gonna be a journey in and of itself. So figured we'd just do some of the fun stuff today. All right, new jets are in. Do you want a shot of this?
No, good.
Me and Trey will stay back here. You want to jump in and start it up?
Sure. Here we go.
Yep. Give it a little rev. Oh, all right, kill it. Oh yeah.
Good.
I've got the crazy red pre-filter to put on here too. I gotta oil it up, but for now we'll just run it dry. We're not getting super dusty.
That is sweet.
I can't wait anymore. I was gonna do the foam first, but let's push this thing out and drive it. I gotta hear it.
Let's do it.
Hop in.
Here we go.
Wow. Whenever you're ready. Maybe it needs to warm up.
You've seen that before.
Go ahead and start it up. Idling nice.
Take it off the door a little.
What's up?
It's just acting really weird. I keep trying it, but it was like a hesitation in there.
Let me jump in.
Let's see.
Not thrilled with that. All right. So, yeah, you were right. It's hesitating and it's acting real weird. Kind of feels like the governor's fighting us again. Like I said, I've got my reasons for wanting to keep it, but if it keeps getting in our way, I'm not above blowing it out. Before we do that, I'm gonna stand back here while you drive it and go to take off, and I'm gonna watch the governor and see what it's doing and why it's sputtering like that. The other thing it could be is, like we said, we kind of put off the exhaust until a later date just because that's going to be sort of a big project. But now we've got way more air coming in with this less restrictive intake. We've got more gas going through with the bigger jets that we put in. It could be that part of the issue is just we're getting tons of back pressure from this exhaust. Honestly, the neighbors aren't outside, are they? You wanna just put the straight pipe on and see if it's any better? Let's put the straight pipe on. We're gonna need some tools. Oh, Jesus. Whatever, we're gonna run half of a exhaust gasket, that's fine. This is all just for testing purposes anyways. Hold on, there's something stopping me from putting this all the way down. Wow. All right, maybe it's, no, it's the actual, yeah, it's these pins. Those are actually too long. What did they expect us to do? I thought this was warped, but it's pretty straight. That's a thick piece of metal. But what it really is, we're bonking right into the stud. You know what? I actually bought just a flange to potentially just weld up my own exhaust. But for now, let's just sandwich the flange in there. At least maybe we'll get a baseline for less restriction. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I don't like this, but we're gonna run this thing with half an exhaust gasket, a extra exhaust flange as a spacer, only one of the nuts tightened down. We're just gonna see. Hopefully it surges less. For now, let's just get some kind of a test.
All right, sounds like a plan.
You got your earplugs in, Trey?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're gonna need them. Go ahead and start it up. Wow, this thing's lumpy. Come around the back. All right, go ahead and try it. That's not what we want. Someone's gonna call the cops. Bring it in. Kill it, kill it.
Sounds good.
Ultimately, it idles fine. There's no issues at idle and it's idling perfectly. If the jets were a big problem, we'd probably notice it a little bit more at idle. Because basically what the governor does is tries to like control the throttle without you.
Okay.
And so it might be just backing it off every time it tries to go based on engine RPM. I don't want to stretch the governor spring more than we need to if that's going to be a problem. So I'd rather just limp it into the shop.
Okay.
And then the foam will be satisfying.
Yeah. Less technical.
One more, start me up. She's not happy, let's just push it in.
Yeah.
All right, so that didn't go as planned, but that's how it goes sometimes, I suppose. I kind of just assumed that this kit that we bought was gonna be pretty plug and play and that we were gonna be able to just kind of attach our new parts and send it and have no issues, but maybe they intended for us to take that governor out and we haven't done that yet. So I've got some more research to do, clearly. That's all right. Things that we can still do today, even though we're not gonna be able to get out there and drive, is pop open a torque converter and show the new springs and rollers that we got. We actually got 2 sets of those springs and rollers, and so I had already rebuilt one torque converter that we had. I just kind of wanted to test it first, like I probably should have done with all this stuff. But before we even go there, do you want to put the foam on? I want to do something nice and easy and satisfying. Oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good when you're in there?
Oh yeah.
Yo.
What's up?
I just got a text from Wayne.
The Wayne?
Wayne, he says he's got a sneak peek.
For the logo?
The logo.
No way.
Oh shit.
There's an attachment here. Hold on. Let's open it up.
Open it up. Oh. Wow, dude.
That's mean.
I knew we had the right guy. How does that look on camera, Trey? Does it translate?
Oh, that translates.
What do you think, Bobby D? Is that
Oh, I'm hyped.
that what you had in mind?
Yes, dude. Did he give us a timeline on when he thinks it's gonna be done?
He said sneak peek, have something for you guys next week.
Oh.
Wow. That's awesome. I love
So
it.
maybe we'll have a reveal, episode 8.
If he's ready, we'll be
Oh,
ready.
man. I've been ready. I was really excited, if you couldn't tell from the intro, about those performance mods. So, like I said, if anybody in the comments knows more than me about these Stage 1 kits for the Predator 420, let me know, because I'm not even sure that it's necessary. The governor, that's the issue, but it would make sense. Ooh, I want to do a real quick test of our electrical system. All right, turn on the low beams. Here's our amp meter, right? I have this run in line with our circuit for the lights, and when you turn those on, go ahead, it's gonna read out how many amps we're drawing, and so it looks like almost 2 amps. Now flip it over to the high beams. What do we got?
4.3.
That's less than I expected, honestly, but it is draining our batteries. So, full disclosure, the charging coil kit that I got from eBay is just that, an eBay charging coil kit. It didn't give me any kind of specs on what kind of amperage to expect. I was just hoping that, you know, we'd kind of double where we were at. It's probably closer to 2 amps that we're getting total. I think I can just get some higher amperage charging coils, and maybe we can just solve that problem outright. So I'm not too worried about that. That's actually good news. I'll put this back together. Let's talk about a quick look at the torque converter stuff, because we're not gonna get out there driving, unfortunately. That's what happens, you know? High hopes. We always have high hopes. That we're never short on.
That's true.
Optimism is always here. All right, we're back at the welding table. If you want to see an in-depth disassembly and reassembly, go check out episode 4. I'll put a little, which side is it on? The stock stall speed on these particular 40 series torque converters is 1600 RPM. And with our giant tires, the amount of torque that was required of the engine was more than it could produce at 1600 RPM, and we kept stalling. And when we were up at high speeds going around out in the state forest and stuff, we would find that the rollers would actually either get jammed up like they did in episode 4, and we fixed that. I actually had one instance where I opened the torque converter up and the rollers were completely out of the tracks and shifted over like this, and all the springs had been bent out of shape, and that's the failure where we ended up overextending our governor springs and having to replace that. The governor may be an issue after all anyways, just in general with this new kit, but that aside, I reached out to Go Power Sports. They were kind enough to send us upgraded springs and rollers. So these are the stock ones. And here is the upgraded stall kit. These are Comet parts, Comet internals. So these should be really high quality. They look about the same, but these red springs are their heaviest springs. So these little guys aren't that strong. These are a lot stiffer. So that, in conjunction with these new rollers that they also sent out, the difference here is that, as you can see, these rollers have less material to them than the stock ones, and thus actually have less mass. Centrifugal force is what drives these torque converters and how they operate. Basically, the higher you spin them, that centrifugal force builds in the rollers and it's held in by the springs. And when it gets to a certain RPM, the springs and rollers fly out and extend your inner bell, engaging the belt, and so on, right? So by going with heavier springs, it makes it a little bit harder for those rollers to come sliding out. And then also by going with lighter rollers, it makes it even just a little bit more difficult for them to spin out. That has 2 effects for us, basically. The first being the torque converter is no longer going to engage at 1600 RPM. It's going to wait until we get to 2600 RPM, which puts us closer to peak torque, which is going to be really useful for getting these monster tires rolling, especially from a stop. The other thing that's going to be nice about this is that by using these stronger, stiffer springs and these lighter rollers, the torque converter is now going to respond to drastic changes in speed a lot better. So before, you'd get it way up to speed, they'd be spinning, spinning, spinning. We go to slow down, it takes longer for the springs and rollers to settle because they're flung out so far, versus with these guys, because they're lighter, they're gonna wanna come back in faster. That's the really crude, non-scientific explanation, but without further ado, let's go ahead and swap these out. So this is what you get in the kit from Go Power Sports, and what you gotta do is swap over these little internal pins. Side of each of these is one of these, get back here, one of these little pins, right? So I'm gonna take these and reuse them, put them in the middle of our new rollers, and go ahead and attach our springs. And there we go. So same sort of thing. You can see this is still lubed up pretty good from the last time that we rebuilt this. So I'm not gonna worry too much about it. So there you go. I can feel right away, these are way tighter, a little more rounded, and just feel kind of higher quality than the stock internals. So I'm pretty happy with this. Again, we can just put this all back together. Again, episode 4 is where we really go through all that. But before we did all our performance mods, like I had said, we had actually rebuilt one of these preemptively, and that is what was on there when we were riding around today and before, and it puts us kind of right where we want to be. So very happy with the torque converter kit. Hopefully no more torque converter issues. We're gonna do some more extensive testing once we get this thing running right again. But that's gonna be a big upgrade. Thank you again to Go Power Sports for sending those out. I was actually really pleased to see that even though it stalls up at 2600 RPM, it still crawls pretty good. It doesn't just jump into gear and want to tear off like I kind of expected it might. So pretty happy with that. And we can always play around with it too if we feel like, if we swap out the high tension springs with the stock rollers, we'll get probably closer to maybe 2000 RPM for our stall. So a lot of adjustability there. That's gonna be fun to play with, but hopefully that solves our issues with the rollers leaving their tracks. All right, so we'll just close this bad boy up. And there we go. We're back together. I don't know, what do you think, Trey? Are we ready to wrap this one up? We've gone pretty far off the rails today. I expected to be driving and testing out the speedometer right now, so.
Let's get Big Bob back in here.
All right, let's do it.
Take 2.
All right, take 2. Trey didn't have that camera on last time, so we're gonna do this one more time.
Sorry, buddy.
That's all right, we forgive you. Today was a mixed bag. We had some successes, we had some failures. Our new lighting setup is fantastic. Thanks for your help on that, Trey.
Oh yeah.
If you guys wanna see more on that, we'll put a link right up here for you guys to check out the vlog that we shot on the sort of behind the scenes on us setting up all the lighting on that. You'll also get to see all the gear that we use to shoot these TYRANIS videos. So that's pretty cool. That's on Trey's channel. We'll kick a link over to that. So lighting went good. We got to go through our torque converter and kind of explain that and the differences. Thank you again to Go Power Sports for hooking us up on that. That solves all of our torque converter issues, at least for the time being. We're gonna test it thoroughly, but I'm pretty optimistic about that. We sorted out, well, not sorted out, but we at least identified the issues we were having with the electrical system.
Yeah.
We're only drawing 4 amps.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting to ideally put out closer to 10 amps. So I think there's coils that'll do it. It's just gonna be a matter of doing a little bit better research. The ones that I bought are from eBay and didn't really have any good specs on them, so we were kind of just sending it and figured we'd see how it works, but that's all right. In addition to that, we got our speedometer is on there,
Yep.
and though we didn't really get to do a great test of it, it is operational.
We know that. We rolled it.
We did, we rolled it, and we did some driving around before we did our performance mods, and it, why are you laughing?
Because they didn't perform.
No, they didn't. I mean, that's just a stage 1 kit that we got online for this Predator. I just assumed that it was gonna just kind of work out of the box. My best guess at this point is that we still have the governor installed, and that's what's kind of holding us back. The governor is tuned very specifically for the stock engine, and we are no longer stock.
Right.
So I could be wrong. We never claimed to be professionals. We're learning this stuff as we go. First time modding these Predators, so if anybody's got any info on that, drop something in the comments. Let us know what we're doing wrong.
We got a nice sneak peek look at the logo from Wayne.
Yes.
So
that was cool.
That's so cool.
I'm excited about that. That's gonna be awesome. And he said, what, like a week? We might have it for next episode.
Yeah.
That would be big.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Installed the foam on the roll cage.
Yeah.
That looks sweet.
Yeah, no, that's a big upgrade. Our harnesses keep us in pretty good.
Yeah.
So
The foam just looks good.
for pedestrians,
Yeah.
things
true.
like that, you know, collateral damage, just in case, you know. Definitely beefs the cart up, and it really accentuates sort of the lines on the body lines on the side that we spent so much time perfecting. So
Yeah, the roll cage.
yeah, the powder coat is gonna be crazy. We'll get a nice little metal flake in there, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really cool. We put the e-brake in.
We did the e-brake, yes.
Yeah, so
That looks good.
yeah, it's mounted. We're waiting on a brake cable because the ones that I had were honestly too beefy for our application, which is kind of how we roll, but you know, bit us that time. But those are actually already on order. I got those ordered last night. So we'll have a nice e-brake. We can park the thing without it rolling away on us. Is there anything else? Let me check my list.
Just to keep everybody entertained.
Again, things didn't go according to plan today, but I'll take it. We'll kick it to Trey for some B-roll, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Perfect. All right. The foam for the roll cage.
Damn, this is so hard.
The foam for the roll cage. That's not going to work.
No.
We wanted to tackle the foam for the roll cage.
And take 300.
The foam for the roll cage.
I'm never gonna get it. I'm never gonna get it. I'm never gonna do it.
Cue the foam. Cue the foam. No, come on. We're committed now.
I know.
We are. We gotta get
Let's
this.
do it. Let me